So hello everyone, I am Damien Romer from the Institut Polytechnique of Paris in France and I'm going to present our work entitled Velocity Skinning for Real-Time Stylized Skeletal Animation. This is a work that we realize in collaboration with Marco Tarini, Niranjan Kalyana Sundaram, Faji Mosfegifar, Marie-Paul Cagny and Victor Zordan. And we consider in this work the generation of 3D cartoon-like character animation, typically in the context of animation cinema or video games, where the characters have exaggerated deformations. Sometimes we also call these effects Disney effects or stylized deformation, which are mostly exaggerating the depiction of speed on the geometry. And these effects are inspired from the widely used 12 standard animation principles. In the industry, the creation of animated content mostly follows the so-called production pipeline, with strict requirements to handle and scale to large projects. In the animation stage, the de facto standard method for keyframe character animation is the so-called skinning deformation, where we have an animation skeleton and a rigged mesh, typically with the use of skinning weights. Skinning has well-known limitations, but it's extremely efficient. It scales well and the industries have years of accumulated experience with it. But skinning method is primarily used for statically posing the character. It doesn't generate in itself the deformation expected in cartoon deformation. Such deformations are usually handled by additional deformers that are provided within the animation software, but they have to be parameterized manually by the artist. And this is where the velocity skinning idea takes place. As we said, these cartoon-like deformations come from the velocity of the character. And the question is, can we actually integrate the notion of velocity in skinning to generate these effects? And in particular, can we leverage all the information that are already available from the rig to generate them automatically and in an efficient way? And so this is our objective. We target a method that can mimic this cartoon-style deformation, and we are going to focus on drag and stretch effects. And we would like to share the same advantages than skinning. Namely, first we want an extremely efficient method, meaning remaining real-time up to some millions of triangles on standard machine. We also want a method that can be used directly out of the box on an existing skin mesh. For instance, we don't want to ask the artist to modify its model or constrain it to a specific case of skinning weights. In industry, the rigs they are at the heart of the animation pipeline. Skeleton may be shared through multiple models and weights are carefully crafted. So we rather want to reuse them as they are, as direct inputs. Of course, we still want to keep an expressive and as direct as possible control on the result, so that an artist can actually easily tune the result to what he wants. Also, to really be easy to use in animation generation, we should be able to manipulate the result in a non-linear way along time, or in other words, to edit the result at any instantaneous time. Typically, artists often go back and forth in the timeline when they generate an animation, and they should be free to adapt a sub-part of the animation at any time without modifying the future of it. And of course, for real case usage, we wish to have a method that is predictable to user interaction, meaning avoiding unexpected deformation or divergence, for instance. If we look at the previous works, we have on one side the manual approaches. Lee or Bénard and colleagues, for instance, propose a way for the artist to carefully sculpt and sketch the shape that the deformed object should take during the motion and actions. And this deformation can be learned and adapted to different situations. This approach allows a very fine level of control and can often be applied in real time, but they require manual design for each individual shape. They therefore cannot be applied out of the box on pre-existing skin shape with various skeletal structure. On the other side, there is the fully automatic-based approach that mostly rely on physics-based simulation, but have been extensively studied in the CG community. Physics-based animation have a lot of advantages. They naturally integrate the dynamic of the deformation, typically for flesh-like elements and details that can jiggle and oscillate when associated to elastic behavior, often called secondary action. Physics-based simulation requires, however, numerical approaches to solve the underlying differential equation guiding the motion, which can be costly. Without going into details, we can note that fast simulation of elastic-like behavior have been developed through typically the use of domain reduction to reduce the degrees of freedom to a meaningful subset that can be pre-computed, position-based dynamics and extension that allows to handle efficiently nonlinear constraints and even stiff one robustly, or the use of what I will call hybrid models, where simple physical elements are used to locally deform the geometry of the shape, for instance in adding some springs to model muscle effect, bouncing flesh, or elastic limbs. In all cases, physics approaches are still costly compared to raw skinning when millions of triangles are involved. Also, direct edits of physics-based simulation should generally be linear in time, as the simulation requires time integration. Therefore, any change at time t may affect the future that has to be rebaked. Similarly to our approach, there has been some purely kinematics method developed to enhance skinning deformation. Wang et al. Proposed to apply signal processing time filter on the space-time trajectory of the vertices. This allows to model drag effects as well as anticipation when the future of the trajectory is known. This filter can achieve complex effects in the time domain, but they are more limited or at least hard to control in the space domain. But these filters are not in opposition of our approach and could be used in complement to add more advanced temporal effects. Very close to our approach, Noble and Tunk propose a method that bends locally the limbs based on velocity of the skeletal bone attached to this limb. Like in this work, they propose a procedural deformer that takes into account the vertex position, the skeleton position, and velocity. But the bending deformation acts only locally around a bone. Therefore, the final deformation is not smooth at the junction between the limbs. So our approach can be seen as an extension of this work to adapt such bending and stretching deformation to smoothly spread along an arbitrary character hierarchy. So in a sense, we propose a generalization of the well-known global drag and stretch effect to a shape with a hierarchical structure. And this is the overall idea of our work. We have a mesh with its skinning weights, and the animation is given by the set of skeleton poses. From that, we define the deform mesh at every time. Instead of using only the skeleton position, we also use the joint velocities, which are available from the animation data. And then I will present the three following steps. First, we will derive a skinning-like relation, but expressing this time the velocity of the vertex with respect to the joint velocity. This is in a sense a skinning in velocity. And secondly, the key idea of our velocity skinning is to convert this linear blend of velocities as a linear blend of parametric deformers. This deformation will automatically adapt to the hierarchy and the mesh as we are reusing the existing rig. And thirdly, we will see the result we can obtain and how an artist could still tune it to obtain the expected result. And so let us start by looking at the skinning formulation in velocity. So we consider an arbitrary vertex of the mesh. In standard linear blend skinning formulation, we have the deformed position of a vertex P that is given by the sum over all the joints J of some position Pj, weighted by the value Aj. Here the Aj are the skinning weights and the Pj are the position of the so-called rigid skinning, which are the position that would take this vertex if it was fully rigidly attached to the joint J. Now we are differentiating this relation with respect to time to express the relation in velocity. So we have the velocity of the vertex, v of p, is equals to p prime, which is the sum over j of aj times pj prime. And now we can look at what is pj prime. It's the velocity of a vertex that is attached to an articulated system. So we can actually decompose this velocity along the hierarchy of a sum of relative velocities. Let us call Vk the relative contribution of the joint k to the velocity of Pj prime. And we can actually write Pj prime as the sum of all these relative velocities. Pj prime is equals to the sum of the Vk, with k being all the ancestor joints of j. And in this example, the final velocity of P2 at lead to the joint 2 is the sum of the contribution V2 brought by the rotation of joint 2 and the contribution V1 brought by the rotation of joint 1. Now that we have the decomposition of Pj, we can plug it back to the relation of the skinning. So this now looks like a double summation, but actually we are counting several times the same joint in descending along the hierarchy. So actually we can perform a change of variable and we can adapt the relation to appear as a single sum. Note that the details are provided in the appendix of the article. And finally we end up with the following relation. V of p is equals to the sum of some weights aj tilde times the vj, with aj tilde is equals to the sum of ak with k being the descendant of join j, and we call them the velocity skinning weights. So this formula is interesting because it's very similar to the linear blend skinning relation. It's a weighted sum of velocities. But now we have some modified weights, a tilde, but these are fully deriving from the standard skinning weights. We can, however, note that this time it's not a barycentric averaging. The sum of the aj tilde doesn't sum up to 1. This is due to the fact that the relative velocities are actually summing up. So basically, the velocity skinning weights are still varying between 0 and 1, but while the A are very sparse along their bones, the A tilde express the influence of a bone along the descendants of the hierarchy. Now that we have this relation in velocity as a linear sum of velocity Vj, the idea is to convert it to a relation of deformation on the geometry. If we suppose that each velocity contribution Vj from bone j at position P induces a deformation Pj, and that Pj is sufficiently small, then the weighted sum of velocity can be assumed to induce a sum of deformation by linearity. And the deformed position Q of a vertex is then computed as Q is equals to P plus D. The main interest of splitting the final deformation D into a subset of deformation C is that each Cj is relative to the motion of a single joint J. So it's easy to characterize and parameterize them. Actually, we can even split it further in looking at the representation of the velocity. Each velocity contribution Vj can be expanded as two components: the linear velocity of the joint, Uj, and the rotational component, which can be expressed as omega j times p minus proj j, with omega j being the angular velocity of joint j, and proj j is the projection of p on the rotation axis. Now we are able to characterize precisely the type of motion, and we can even define for each linear and angular velocity a specific parametric deformation. In addition, we want to mimic drag and stretch effect, so we are going to look for 4 parametric deformers psi for the drag effect for the linear and angular velocity, and the stretch effect for also the linear and angular velocity. So let us start with the drag effect. In the case where we have a linear velocity of the joint Uj, so a translation of the joint, we consider the deformer to be also a translation applied to the vertices. And this translation is very simply said to be the opposite to the direction of the linear velocity of the joint, so psi is equals to minus Uj. When the joint has an angular velocity, which is the most common case, we then model a delay by adding a rotation whose amplitude increases with the velocity at the vertex position. For that, we consider a rotation of axis given by omega j, the angular velocity, which passes by the position of the joint, and of angle given by the norm of the velocity at position P. Thanks to the blending relation with the velocity skinning weights, now all these local bending effects are automatically propagated through the hierarchy depending on which joint is moving. Also note that we can achieve this effect in using the knowledge of the joint angular velocity at the origin of the motion, which is something which is provided by the skeletal data. But if we were not using this information and only applying a per vertex translation opposite to the individual vertex velocity, we could not achieve this nice bending deformation for large speed, as we would quickly start to see some stretching artifacts. Now for the stretching or squeezing effect, we use an anisotropic scaling. This scaling must be centered, ideally around a point or an axis that would pass through the center of the character and through the joint at the origin of the motion. So for this purpose, we consider the center Cj, shown in the example by the magenta dot, which is defined as the barycenter or the center of mass of the local part of the character that is under the influence of the considered bone. Once we have the central axis, we define our scaling parameters according to the velocity. In the case of a linear velocity, we apply the scaling around the point Cj, and in the case of rotation, we use this axis to define an average direction of the motion along which we stretch the shape. Note that you can also find more details on the stretching parameters in the paper. And now I present some results. Here is the case of a co-model which oscillates from the head and on the left the case of the skinning, and on the right after deformation. The effects are subtle, but we automatically obtain an animation that seems less robotic, more alive in a way. Not that we derive our velocity skinning entirely using linear blend skinning for the linearity, but we also try to apply to an input which was deformed using dual quaternion skinning, and it worked pretty well without any modification. So we are confident that velocity skinning can be applied to various skinning-like deformation. To fine-tune the result, various tools are also available. For instance, by visualizing the deformation vectors from a given target velocity that can be modified interactively, but by fixing the position of the model. This allows to parameterize the deformation in a static pose with the implementation of a virtual speed. And then we can clearly see the effect of curvature of the delay and the effect of elongation. We can also finely tune the magnitude of each effect in adding a per vertex or a per bone scalar weights. These weights can be directly painted on the surface, and therefore different parts of the character can be deformed non-uniformly. It's also possible to use negative weights to give effects of advance instead of delay in a cyclic motion. Finally, it's also possible to manually modify the center of application of the elongation and compression. We proposed to some artists at Clemson to use our tool to create an animation, and this is a short footage on their process that converts an existing flying or walking cycle to a more expressive one.
And just like that, we have an effect that is exaggerated yet controllable. This is a work-in-progress clip made by a beginner animator. We can go ahead and add some deformation to get a feel for what it'll look like when the whole thing is complete. So this is what the clip looks like after deformation. And as you can see, even in this early stage of animation, the tool is able to add a lot of fluidity to the movement.
One of the main advantages of the approach is its simplicity. As it is simple to implement, we propose 3 open implementations. A basic one in pure C++, a demonstration that works on a browser, where the deformation is fully encoded in JavaScript and it remains real-time, and an implementation in a vertex shader. Note that it all fits in a single-pass vertex shader. And all these implementations can be found in velocityskinning.com, so don't hesitate to check it out. We applied the vertex shader implementation on a high-resolution mesh on this monster model using a single consumer GPU on a laptop. The implementation was not overly optimized, so there is still room for improvement if needed. Compared to raw skinning using the same implementation, velocity skinning is taking twice the time of a skinning, which is very reasonable as it remains in the same order of magnitude. But of course we should note that velocity skinning may not offer the possibility of extreme optimization as the velocity skinning weights are less sparse. We also applied velocity skinning to multiple instances of the same character, and in this case we have this meadow full of cows. Each cow is almost 6,000 triangles, and we have 4,000 cows in the scene. And the entire computation was taking less than 40 milliseconds per frame, so it remained real time. Alright, so we can note some limitation to this method. First, we have to be clear that it's not a physics-based deformation. We don't take into account a real notion of inertia, there is no notion of action and reaction, and the global deformation is limited to linear blending of a fine transform. Also, if we apply large deformation, we may have self-intersection. This can happen when we have very soft and elongated details on the character. Also, a principle of velocity skinning is to assume that the deformation propagates along the hierarchy of the skeleton. So the method is well suited to handle forward kinematics, but not directly inverse kinematics, or to handle deformation due to contact. So in conclusion, we propose the skinning-like formulation that takes the use of skeleton velocity to generate exaggerated deformation. The method is natively fast in blending procedural deformation, it fully relies on skinning data to propagate the deformation, and the computation only depends on instantaneous velocities and position. With respect to future works, we defined a velocity-based skinning, but we would like to extend it to acceleration, to model typically follow-through effects. and more generally to include other deformers, for instance to model time-delayed propagation along the skeleton hierarchy. And this ends actually the presentation. I thank you for watching it, and I will be happy to answer your questions.